Greetings, courageous motherhood family, and happy Passover. Last night began the entry into Shabbat, Sabbath, and then also I think this full cycle today is the first day of Passover. And so I don't know about you guys, but I've been on quite the journey in my walk with Christ, and some of that has led me to honoring some of the traditional, or doing my best to honor the traditional feast that Jesus, Yeshua, also celebrated. And so Passover is one of the ones that, is a major one that we are called to celebrate, that Christ celebrated. And so over the last few days, I've just been contemplating just the beauty of what the Passover means. A lot of times we are reminded of the story of the plagues that God put on Egypt due to Pharaoh not releasing his people. And most of our lives, we feel like this is just like, let my people go. Like, it's this far away thing. But then it's like, how often are we currently, as God's children, in bondage? And do we believe that God is not also faithful to release us from that bondage? And just as Pharaoh was given all the chances that Pharaoh was given, there's frogs, there's all of these plagues, lice, maybe blood in the water, and then ultimately what became the sacrifice, the plague of killing the firstborn. And so the Passover is a celebration of, God's faithfulness to those who were obedient to put the lamb's blood over their door and to allow the angel of death to pass over their home, and to not take away their firstborn, which was one of the last plagues. And so in my life, I've just been thinking about the opportunities that God has given me to do the things that I need to do, to repent, to be clean, to be obedient even, right? And this particular feast, celebration, festival, however you call it and however you celebrate it, is just always just such a sobering reminder for me, because it's like the mercy that God gives us to put the blood, to give us the information, right? To give us the opportunity to put the blood over our door, to allow us to repent consistently through these different plagues, these different challenges, but maintaining our free will as humans. Like, that's one of the most beautiful aspects of how God created us. He created us with a free will, but our choices aren't without consequence. And so just taking this time and in this season to just consecrate and to be reminded of the goodness, the graciousness, but even just the sovereignty and the seriousness that God has when it comes to his children, when it comes to obedience, when it comes to faithfulness, mercy, always giving us opportunities. And sometimes, the enemy will have you think that God is not merciful, God is not gracious. It's just this punishing God that is just always, looking to hurt us, or to get you, gotcha, snatch us up in this way. And it's just not true, like God is always giving us opportunities to, a ram in a bush, so to speak. It's not just like one plague and then like, I'm killing your firstborn. It's like 7, 8, 9, 10, like it's many and many opportunities. And I know, my prayer, in particular in this season, is just like, Lord, like, I don't want to have a hardened heart. And so, as I go, as I live, as I move about in my day, in my life, and different challenges, it's like, keep my heart softened, because that's literally the thing where it was like, you would see Pharaoh respond to a particular plague after he kind of was like, oh, my magicians can do that. That's no big deal. That's no big deal. But then it was like his heart would harden after he repented. And it's just like, whoa, like, it's possible to acknowledge God. It's possible to acknowledge the sovereignty of God and still push forward with a hardened heart against God or against God's people. And I don't ever want to be too arrogant to think, or arrogant at all, or prideful, or anything to think that that couldn't ever be me, right? That I couldn't ever acknowledge God, even repent or be in awe of God's glory and power, and then that my heart couldn't also be hardened, like literally the very next day. And so that's my prayer in this Passover season. But I just wanted to hop on. I don't really have too much to say. This is not really like a history lesson or anything about Passover, but just kind of sharing and wanting to be in the energy of consecration, where it's like being honest, being responsive to God, being obedient to God, responding to the grace and the mercy that is given, and then really sitting with the power, sitting in gratitude of the power that lies in the Passover. I think I was reading maybe the footnotes in a study Bible that said there were even some Egyptians who were like non-believers who got the memo as well. Oh, we need to put this lamb's blood over our door and on the post. And they were like, yeah, we saw the plagues. We experienced them. And even though Pharaoh's heart is hard, I'm going to go ahead and get that lamb blood over my post. The God of Abraham and whoever these people, like, this is the real deal. And so even though I may not have full understanding of who they serve, and I may not be, going to church every Sunday or whatever the things are, right, that people think that make you a good follower of Christ, they still put the blood over the post. And I think that is so, it's just so powerful, right? Like, you don't even have to be well versed in anything to just be obedient. You don't have to be well versed in all the biblical things to look around the world and say, yo, like, we need to repent. Like, the time is like nigh. God is not playing with us. Like, we need to tighten up. And seizing the opportunity and kind of looking around. And it doesn't mean that like everybody's going to be a good representation or everyone would communicate certain things that are important, but it's like, I really marvel at those particular Egyptians who read the room and they were like, yeah, I'm trying to be on the right side of things. And then it's like, how much more than the Hebrew people? Like, I wonder and I pray and I hope that there weren't any Israelites that maybe didn't put the blood over the door. Maybe they were too comfortable or maybe they were complacent, but it's like every time I read these stories, it's like I'm seeing just how relevant it is to like actual life right now. Always, right? But to how we live our lives, the attitudes that we have, how easy it is for our hearts to be hard and how easy it is to be bitter, how easy it is to be unforgiving. And that it's just like this constant thing, like, Lord, please, as we go through this process, please continue to soften my heart. Please allow bitterness to be extracted. Please, when things come up, just continuing to forgive, even if it's the same thing over and over and over. But like having that heart posture, knowing and understanding that we are not even the ultimate, ideal follower or child. Like, we're not the most obedient, right? But it's not about that. It's about being consistent and continuously changing your heart posture, pointing it towards God, being grateful, because the amount of grace and mercy that it takes to even give us an opportunity to not be dealing with consequences is just, it's just like unconscionable. It's even in our own lives where it's like, and I'll be the first to admit, like, okay, this happens, consequence. This happens, consequence. And God has shown us throughout the Bible that that is a thing that's real. But then there's also just this tenderness of a father that loves his children, even when they're being disobedient, even when they're wilding out, where it's just like, yo, this is my mercy here. Go ahead and put this blood, let's make this sacrifice, put this blood over the door, and I will then spare. And that was taking place at the height of the plagues, right? And it's just a beautiful way to think about, like, that's how God still thinks about us. Even at the height of judgment, even at the height of consequences, he's still loving us enough to give us an opportunity to repent, to protect ourselves, to put that lamb's blood over the doorpost. And so, I'm just sitting in that, contemplating that. There was a song, I think the version that I've been seeing is with CeCe Winans, but it's I think it's called Holy Forever. And it just really reminds me, the lyrics, the music, it kind of reminds me of, because I think one of the lines is like, and the angels cry holy, and holy forever. And then all creation cries, and so it kind of takes you through this story. But then I just think, like, when you hear people say God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and then you think about these stories, you think about Passover, like, God is still the same God from Passover today as he was yesterday when that happened, and then also forever. Like, there will be more instances and things that come up where God will still be gracious and mercy and provide the same type of grace and mercy that was provided in the Passover. And so in that song, when it's just like holy forever, where it's just like, wow, like, that is something so potent about God's holiness and God's consistency, yet his ability to be so unique and tailor fit to us, that it's like mind blowing. So when they say, like, our mind cannot even conceive of the divinity and the glory of God, like, that's one of the things I think about. Like, it's not even like, can my mind consciously imagine this vast being that created the universe and every planet and galaxy and solar system, like, imagining a being greater than that, like a being so vast and great that created that level of vastness. No, that's not even something I can come up with an image for, right? Although humans try all the time. But it's also like, like, that love is so deep. That love is so tailor fit, the mercy, the grace, the saving, the opportunity to repent. Like, we don't have to have opportunities to repent. We don't have to have opportunities to experience 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plagues. Like, there's a couple of instances in the Bible where people were just struck dead, period. First time. Like, it's not every time. It should not even be a given or expected. Like, there are people that were just like, yep, you're done. Like, you're done. Like, there was no chances. There was no 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 chances. And so it is amazing and overwhelming to consider that the same God from yesterday that was at the Passover, that gave the Hebrew people, the Israelites, as well as any Egyptians that followed that instruction, an opportunity and a way out, just as he gives us an opportunity to repent, an opportunity like a ram in the bush, and a way out. Like, it's the same opportunity that we have, and it is such an overwhelming opportunity. And it's just, like I said, my Passover contemplations, where I'm just like, I'm grateful. I'm extremely grateful, and I don't ever want to take that for granted, and yeah, I just don't ever want to take that for granted. So for those who are celebrating, happy Passover. I believe the Hebrew word is Pesach, Pesach. And I was listening to one study that said that I think there's a Pasach and a Pesach. And one of the definitions is Passover, and I can't remember. I think it was strength, like the strength of the Lord. I'll have to go back. I'll come back and do like a deeper study on that. But yeah, it's just deep. And there's a tradition of immersion where we immerse ourselves in the water, dipping yourself and cleansing yourself in the water, and then enjoying this feast over the next 7 days. And so it's just beautiful. But it's a beautiful reminder. And again, it's one of those stones of remembrance moments where, you know, the Israelites put a stone of remembrance, like, yo, our firstborn children were saved. We were released out of bondage. Pharaoh had to let us go. And then when his heart got hard again, and he still came after us after losing his firstborn son, and then God was like, all right, I got it, no problem. Go ahead and part this sea. And then let me go ahead and drown these people because they are just doing the absolute most. And then even then it's like, yo, like you still could have stayed your tail in Egypt and not lost all of your army of people. But when we have a hardened heart and we are absolutely dedicated to disobedience, it's like, bro, sis, you just want to keep losing? And it's like, no, sir, I do not. Excuse me, I do not want to keep losing. And so be encouraged, but definitely want you to honor and remember that God is the same God yesterday, today, and forever. And as we're celebrating Passover, the same God that released the Hebrews and the Israelites from bondage back then, that's the same God that releases us from bondage today. That's the same God that continues to release me from bondage and deliver me from evil and hardened hearts and unforgiveness and bitterness and, you know, external circumstances, the whole nine. But like, that's the same God. That's the same God. And it just has caused me to be in a reflective and grateful heart space, you know? So anyway, I just wanted to hop in. That wasn't really, you know, organized and planned or any of that, but it's really just a beautiful contemplation for the day. And I am a bit tired, but I wanted to share that. So happy Passover. I hope that you guys have an amazing, amazing feast celebration over the next 7 days. And don't forget to remember that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. There's absolutely nothing that God cannot do. There's nothing that God cannot deliver you from. There is no bondage. There is no condition. There is no fear. There is no hate. There is no hardness that God cannot deliver you from. But you have to want it. But trust and believe it's never about God's capability. It's about our heart posture. It's about our desire. It's about our surrender. And so I want to encourage you today. Surrender. Surrender to the God that is the same yesterday, today, and forever.